Hey everyone, welcome to CoveredCall ETF Investing. I'm Jordan, and this is your central hub for deep CoveredCall ETF data. And in today's video, we're going to be looking at a snippet from a Google Sheet I created called the CoveredCall ETF ALLSTAR Tracker, a place where you can have all of your Canadian and US listed CoveredCall ETFs filtered in one location to explore performances, 3-month average volume, yields, dividend streaks, distribution changes, taxes. There's a lot there, and that can all be picked up on my Patreon page, which will be in the description below, or in the pinned comment section, the very first comment that you'll see. So let's check out Canadian CoveredCall ETF performances. Let's go. What I really like about this section is this is where we're going to find opportunities. I've done this before just to show you all. If we go over to the 6 months, what I like to do, because I think 6 months is a good stretch of time where I feel like it's our most current economic cycle. If we go back, if we're looking for opportunities over the last 5 years, well, we've had COVID, we've had a bull market, we've had a bear market, we've had inflation and interest rate stuff and geopolitical turmoil and sovereign debt crisis stuff that keeps percolating. So for me, 6 months is typically a pretty good indicator of the most current economic window that we're in. So we can see here lots of greenery. Of course, 2023 has done really well. We've seen a pullback here in April of 2024. We've seen a pullback. So if we head all the way down to the bottom, we can see that there's not a whole lot of stuff that's really suffering at the moment. But here is where we can extract value of sort of the ugly duckling sectors, which can be found over here. So that's exactly why I like to filter 6 month, is to not just see what funds are there, is to see what sectors are being affected the most at the moment. So what are we seeing at the moment? Well, we see bonds. April was probably not a good month for bonds. Mining seems to hang out near the bottom month after month. A little bit of energy, but we see GLCC for mining. We see XF here. And we see UMAX, utilities, is also at the bottom. So then we also see some other utilities kind of, I would say, in the bottom third of just weaker performance. Especially with UMAX now being the highest yielding it's ever been. Like I said, I think this is probably a really good pickup at the moment. UMAX it has about 50% coverage on the portfolio. It holds a bunch of different stocks in it that I think are just great diversifiers within their own industries. So from railways and pipelines and just general utilities like Fortis and Emera. I think you got Waste Connections in there. So there's probably about 20 companies that make up a bunch of different industries. You got telecommunications as well, from TELUS and Rogers and not Shaw, maybe Bell, I think it might be in there as well. So I really like UMAX just from that industry diversification standpoint. You're also getting a fabulous yield out of it as well. Now we can also go through year to date. Now that would be 5 months. It'd be interesting to see kind of what in the 5-month period. So we're actually seeing a lot more. We're seeing a lot more red, a lot more pressure on the market with just this year. Forget 6 months, because maybe a lot of that performance in the 6-month window was maybe a lot of it was in December, if I believe correctly. There it was, but just looking out from year to date, which is 4 months. Let's see what sectors are at the bottom of the list. So yeah, we're seeing bonds, but look at this. We got real estate, we got a little bit of technology, and we see some pressure on financials, which we weren't seeing in the 6-month window. So once again, able to extract opportunities. We've narrowed 6 months down to a 4-month window of what is suffering here in 2024. I wouldn't say these are sectors that are, bleeding red, but again, maybe some opportunities here. HMAX, another one by Hamilton, 50% coverage on the portfolio at the money, so fairly aggressive with the cover call writing, but you get a fantastic yield with 15.21%. BKCL, if you want the leverage, 25% leverage, suffering slightly more, but again, you can add 1% out of that with its yield. And bank, just to round out the suffering, if you want an extra percentile on top of all that, well, you can go with that. Bank has, again, 25% leverage on the fund, but 33% portfolio coverage versus HMAX with 50% coverage at the money. BKCL with 50% coverage. I believe that's out of the money. Yes, yeah, I believe so. So either way, I think there's some decent pickups here, or a little more you can add. Real estate, of course, this is the only cover call ETF that in Canada, there's cover call writing on a fund here in Canada with HGR. Maybe there's mutual funds, maybe there's something else out there, but as far as I'm aware, this is the only cover call one with the Harvest Global REIT Leaders Income ETF. So hey, you get a fairly, what I like to say is an interesting yield at 9.5%. This channel's of course focused on 10% plus yields, but when things start to get into the 9.53% yield range, I'm starting to get pretty interested in it, depending on what it is. Right. So anyway, that kind of rounds out performance for the Canadian cover call ETF ALLSTAR tracker list. Hopefully you liked that small snippet of the cover call ETF ALLSTAR tracker. There is a fully 1.5 hour unedited version over on my Patreon, which will be in the description below, so you can check it out there. Some other features in the Patreon are you can actually have access to the tracker yourself. There's going to be also live meetups every single month that you can be a part of. Get to ask me all of your questions in a small group setting, especially while the Patreon community is fairly small. That's something I'll have the ability to do. So come on over there, check out the full version of this video. Or if not, then just wait for just smaller releases throughout each week. And continue to learn about cover call ETFs in more bite-sized chunks. So with that being said, hit all the buttons to the like and subscribe variety, and I'll see you all in the next video.